Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. So today we're starting something a little bit new. We're going to look at a book by Ramanujacharya called Nitya Grantha. Nitya Grantha is one of 9 books that Ramanuja wrote. Ramanuja wrote commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. He wrote a book called Vedanta Sangraha explaining the principal issues in the Upanishads. He wrote 3 commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra, Sri Bhashya, Vedanta Sar, and Vedanta Deepa. And then he wrote 3 Gadyas, or 3 prose works, Sharanagati Gadya, Sri Ranga Gadya, and Vaikuntha Gadya. So the last and 9th book that he wrote is the Nitya Grantha. Nitya Grantha is a shortened explanation of what a Vaishnava should do in his day, every day. And with the especially with the emphasis on the worship of the deity in his house. So it's based on Pancharatra Agama. It's based on the idea that in the Pancharatra, worship of Lord Vishnu or Sriman Narayana in the house and in the temple is the daily duty of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnava is one who worships Lord Vishnu. So let's have a look at that text. It's going to be a sort of it's a shortened text. So we'll try to explain it as we go along. It won't be in the form that we can understand a step-by-step process. And there are many other anikams written by different acharyas of different Vaishnava Sampradayas, and even of Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, and even Pancharatric anikams that we can go over after this to get an idea of the exact details that we want to follow. Okay, so I'm going to show it on the screen. So this particular version of Nitya Grantha is translated by K.R. Krishnaswamy, and what he's done is he has put the original text in. You can see the different letters here, different scripts in Tamil script, in Grantha, in Devanagari script, in Kannada script, because I guess he's from Karnataka, and also in Roman script. And then he's also given an English translation. So that's good for us. The original book, of course, is in Sanskrit, but these other scripts can be used to write Sanskrit. Sanskrit is not only written in Devanagari script, but it can be written in many other scripts. In South India, specifically in the Tamil area, Sanskrit used to be written in a script called Grantha script, which is very much like Tamil, with a few extra letters added. So it says here book 2. That's because the book, which I scanned yesterday, has 2 parts to it. The first part is another book, another anikam. Anikam means, the word ana means day, meaning a day and night. So anikam means what we do every day. So there's another anikam called Kriya Deepa, which means, Deepa means light or lamp, and Kriya means activity. So light on our activities, daily activities. This was written by Parashara Bhatta. Sri Vaishnavas usually call Parashara Bhatta just as Bhatta. If anybody says Bhatta, they mean Parashara Bhatta in Sri Vaishnava terminology. And Parashara Bhatta was one of the twin sons of Kuresha. Kuresha, or Kurtalwan, was the main disciple of Ramanuja. Of course, Ramanuja had many disciples, but one of his main disciples was Kuresha. And you always see Kuresha is always depicted with a beard. So if you ever see Ramanuja with his disciples, a picture, the one with the beard is Kuresha. He had 2 sons. They were named after Parashara Rishi and Vedavyas, who was the son of Parashara Rishi. Parashara Rishi is the Rishi who has written first of all, he's written the scripture on horoscopes, the Parashara Horoshastra, which has to do with Jyotisha. And he also wrote the Vishnu Purana, right, which is one of the 6 Sattvika Puranas. So there are 18 Puranas, 18 main Puranas, Mahapuranas. One of them is 6 of them are in the mode of goodness, 6 in the mode of passion, 6 in the mode of ignorance, for people in those modes. And for people in the mode of goodness, Vaishnava Puranas are usually 6. So out of them, Sri Vaishnavas mostly read Vishnu Purana. So Vishnu Purana was written by Parashara Rishi, and his son compiled all the rest of the Puranas and also compiled many other things like the Vedanta Sutras and the Vedas and everything. His name was Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa is the son of Parashara. So Parashara and Vedavyasa, having compiled all these Vedic literatures, there's also a Shmiti Shastra, one of the I believe there's 18 Shmiti Shastras. Parashara also wrote a Shmiti Shastra called Parashara Shmiti. So to honor these two great sages, Parashara Rishi and Vedavyasa Rishi, Yamunacharya, who is the Param Guru of Ramanuja, wanted that these rishis be honored in some way. So Ramanuja promised to not only write a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras according to Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, a Vaishnava commentary on Vedanta Sutras, but he also promised to honor these two great rishis. So when Kuresha, his main disciple, had twin sons, he named those sons after these rishis. So after Parashara Rishi and Vedavyasa Rishi, he named the two sons Parashara Bhatta and Vedavyasa Bhatta. So these are also two of the Acharya Purushas. There are two lineages coming from Ramanuja, Guru lineages, Guru Paramparas, starting with Parashara Bhatta and Vedavyasa Bhatta. So this other book, the book number 1 is by Parashara Bhatta called Kriya Deepa. We can go through that after we go through Nitya Grantha. I thought that we would go through chronologically. So Ramanuja's book was first. Of course, there are some other books in the Pancharatra Agama. There's the main book on ritualism in South India is called Vaidyanatiyam, called Smriti Muktapalam. We can also go through some of that, although that's not translated into English. So what we want to start with is we want to start with something simple to give us an overview of what a Vaishnava should do, because there are other books telling us what Brahmins should do, or what people who are not Vaishnavas but who are also of the Trivarnika classes, the Brahmins such as and Vaishyas in the Varnashram society, what they should do every day. But we're specifically interested in what Vaishnavas should do. So let's have a look at Nitya Grantha. Nitya, in this sense, the word Nitya can mean eternal, but it also means daily, always. Nitya means always. So it's things that we're always doing. Every day we're doing them. Just like we have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to take the bath. So these things have to be done every day. So these things are covered in this book, but with a specific emphasis on the worship of the Lord daily. And the word Grantha simply means a book full of verses or a book. Okay, so here's the Tamil, here's the Devanagari, here's the Kannada, and here comes the English. Okay, so it starts out with Atha Paramaikantino Bhagavad Aradhana Prayogam Vakshashe. Vakshe. So some of these words will be familiar to you. The word prayoga means procedure, right? Whenever we start a new topic in Sanskrit, the word atha is used. Just like in the Brahma Sutras, the first sutra in the Brahma Sutras is Atato Brahma Jigyasa, right? In the Karma Kanda section, in the Dharma Sutras, it starts out Atato Dharma Jigyasa, thus the inquiry into Brahman, or thus the inquiry into Dharma. So here we have thus, we're starting a new topic, so we're saying he starts always with Atha. Many books start with Atha. Paramaikantino, Paramaikantinaha will be explained in a minute. And Bhagavad Aradhana. Bhagavad means God, and Aradhana means worship. And Prayoga means procedure. So thus, Atha can mean thus the procedure to worship God, Okay? And Paramaikantino is for a particular person, for a particular type of person. There are different types of devotees, and this Paramaikanti, there's an Ekanti. An Ekanti means a person who has one focus in his worship. He's not worshiping all sorts of different devatas, but he's worshiping only Sriman Narayana. He's worshiping only one supreme God, Lord Narayana. So a Paramaikantima is somebody who's really fixed in this conception of worshiping. And this is the concept of Vaishnavas, is that there is one God to be worshipped, and that is Sriman Narayana. So the meaning is, presented is the method for Bhagavad Aradhana, or the worship of God, to be adopted by Paramaikantis, who believe that the Lord is the goal to be attained. And for that attainment, he himself is the upaya or means. Okay, so if we study the philosophy of Sri Vaishnavism, right, which is coming from the Pancharatra, right, and also is based on the Nyasa Vidya, which means the philosophy of property or surrender, which is given in the Upanishads, and also talked about by the 12 Alvars in their 4,000 Tamil Nalaya Divi Prabandham, right, in the 4,000 verse Tamil verses of the Alvars. This surrender to God, right, is the means. So here, the philosophy of Sri Vaishnavism is actually that the Lord himself becomes the means. The Lord himself becomes the means as well as the goal. So a Paramakanti understands that the Lord is the goal. He's the goal of our endeavors, right, of our surrender to him. And he's also the means by which that goal is attained. So the goal in Vedanta philosophy is usually moksha or liberation from this world of samsara, repeated birth and death. But in this case, the Sri Vaishnavas consider the goal to be eternal loving service of the Supreme Lord Srimanarayana in Vaikuntha, his original pristine heaven. Okay, so now we go to I'm not going to read all the original text, but let's just look at the meanings, right? And we can go through quite quickly. So I'll try to explain each part. The Lord himself, with all his entourage and implements, would aid and cooperate with me, a Paramakanti that is, right? The one who is subservient to him and whose body, all senses and mind belong to him alone, and for him to get pleased with my kainkarya, which means service to him, right? So this is just the mindset that a Paramakanti has. A Paramakanti is a person who's completely singularly devoted to the worship of Sriman Narayana. And this is how he thinks. He thinks that I want to worship the Supreme Lord along with all his entourage. That means his consorts, his attendants, all of the different acharyas in my lineage, in my spiritual lineage. I want to worship God along with all of his attendants. And his implements means that there are not only his consorts and his attendants to be worshipped, but also implements like his weapons or his jewels, his different things that he has naturally with him always, right? So, for instance, there are 5 weapons that the Lord has. He has a conch, he has a discus, he has a mace, he has a sword, he has a bow. Okay, so, and then there are maybe other weapons that he has. He has not only these weapons, but he also has the Kaustuba, the Srivatsa. The Kaustuba is a beautiful gem. The Srivatsa is a place where Lakshmi resides on his chest. So he has shark-shaped earrings or makara kundalas. He has different. He has a crown. He has divine sandals or shoes. All of these things. He has a divine bed that he lies on. He has servants, Adishesha, Garuda, Vishvaksena, who is his commander-in-chief of his forces or his personal secretary. So all of these personalities also get worshipped along with the Lord. It's not that we just only worship the Lord, but we worship the Lord along with everything related to the Lord. And this is described in the Puranas, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnu Maradhanam Param, Tasmat Parataram Devi Tariyanam Sa'achanam. So Lord Shiva says to Parvati, his wife, he says that out of all worship, out of all puja and all rituals, the worship of Lord Vishnu is the best. Vishnum Aradhanam Param. Param means the topmost, the supreme. So the topmost puja is the worship of Lord Vishnu. But then he says beyond that, even above that topmost worship of Lord Vishnu is the worship of that which is associated with Vishnu, his devotees, his consorts, his entourage, his implements, his weapons, let's say, whatever. These are considered to be more beneficial. Just like in the material world, sometimes we say, love me, love my dog. So some people, if you take special if you make special appreciation of a great person's family or their pet or somebody who works for them, then that great person will take that as something, take that into consideration when you come to worshiping him. So a great person thinks, oh, I'm happy if somebody worships me, but even more so if somebody if somebody's nice to my family and my wife, my those things that are surrounded by me. So the Lord is also like that, right? If we worship Goddess Lakshmi, if we worship, Vishvaksena, if we worship the great devotees of the Lord, the great acharyas, the alwars, like that, the Lord himself is pleased when we worship his devotees and his entourage and even his paraphernalia. So it says, Aradhananam Sarvisham Vishnu Aradhanam Param Tasmat Paratanam Devi Tadiyanam Sa'achanam. Even greater than that is the worship of Tadiya. Tadiya means that which belongs to the Lord. And actually everything belongs to the Lord, either directly or indirectly, because everything emanates from him, right? He's the cause of all causes. And the material world, the living beings, the chaitanas and achetanas, the conscious and unconscious beings, they all emanate from him, and they are actually like his body. They're supported and controlled and uplifted by him. Okay, so this is the mentality that a Paramahansa has, that he wants to worship the Lord in full, a complete worship of the Lord, right? Along with his associates, right? And that one who is subservient to him, this is called Sheshatva in Sanskrit. Shesha means servant. Sheshi means master. So Sheshatva means the servitorship, that the person the person thinks of himself. We think of ourselves first and foremost as a servant of God, and as his property, right? And whose body, all senses and mind belong to him. Not only our body, our mind, our senses belong to him, our very soul itself, our very Atman, the Chaitanya itself belongs to God, and it is his property, right? Belong to him alone, and for him to get pleased, we should please him by our service. We want to please him by our service. So not only do we want to learn about what is the complete worship of God, but we also want to do it with a mentality that we're his loving servant, that our very soul, mind, body, and senses belong to him, and that we also want to do it in such a way that will please him. So we do want to do it according to the scriptures, because the scriptures are the word of God, and that's his order to follow those. So Ramanuja is going to explain to us how to do that. Okay, so continuing on, you can see how this is it's a very general text. So now what it's saying is details of the ceremonial bath. Okay, so he hasn't even mentioned, Ramanuja hasn't mentioned the process of waking up in the morning, where the devotee or the Vaishnava, the Bhakta, the Prapana, the person who's devoted to God or surrendered to God, the Paramahansa mentioned in the first verse, wakes up in the morning every morning. This is usually where the Anikams start. They start early in the morning at the time of Brahma Muhurta, which is 1.5 hours before sunrise, when the person is supposed to be traditionally wake up and to attend to begin the day of service to God. Okay, so it says he doesn't deal with the actual waking up of the person, but he deals with going and taking the bath. So we go and we relieve ourselves, observe the calls of nature and ablutions, and then we have to take the bath. We have to take the bath. Now, the bath here is described as a ceremonial bath, a ritualistic bath. So mostly today, most people every day, they don't take a ceremonial bath, a ritualistic bath. They simply go into the bathroom. We have indoor plumbing today. In ancient times, they didn't. They would go to the river, or they would go to a tank of water, or the ocean, or they would go to a body of water. If there was no body of water, they would find a well, and they would draw water from the well and take bath in that way. So the details of the ceremonial bath, preceding the Aradhana proper, right? So the Aradhana proper, which is called Ija, or we can call it Puja. People call it Puja, Ija, or Aradhana. They all are synonymous words that in Sanskrit that mean the worship of the Lord. So before worshipping the Lord, before that worshipping of the Lord, then we want to take a bath. We want to take a bath. Now, in the Smriti Shastras, there are many different types of bath that we can take. But normally, people get up and they normally go to the bathroom and they take a bath, which includes washing our body with water. Okay, so here it's going to be explained a little bit about the ceremonial bath, the ritualistic bath. Now, remember, there's many different types of bath. We want to become purified within and without, right? So not only are we trying to cleanse off dirt from the material body, but we're also trying to cleanse the mind. We're also trying to cleanse ourselves completely. So preceding the Aradhana, we take this bath. Instructions for the full body bath, known as Avagahana Snana. The word Snana means bath, and Avagahana means simply bathing or immersion. Avagahana Snan. Okay, so the word of Avagahana means immersion. So perhaps some of us are not familiar. There's different ways of taking bath. If we take a shower, we're just having some water pour on us. But if we actually submerge our whole body in water, this is what's called Avagahana bath. So he's recommending that one should submerge oneself in water. Right, pure water. So, known as Avagahana Snana, comprise approaching the water body, right? Be it a river, a not so deep tank, right? Or well, right? Wiping one's feet. So first of all, we have to approach the water body, right? And now, if in the case of a well, if you want to take an immersion bath, either it's a well that you can walk down into and take a bath in the well. Normally people don't do that, but they draw water from the well and they pour the water over them, or they put the water into a separate tank from the well, fill up that, and then take an immersion bath in that. So, but the idea here is that the water should not be kept in a pipe or a tank or something like that for a long period of time where it becomes ritualistically impure or impure, right? But water kept in the earth, which is the goddess Bhumi, right, is considered to be always pure. So a river, the ocean, a pond, a tank, a lake, like that, which is in the earth, that is considered pure water. Whereas if we pump the water up into a tank and we keep it there for many days or hours or whatever, or we pipe it through pipes to us, this is not considered to be ritualistically pure. Okay, so now, so first of all, wiping one's hands and feet. So wiping the feet and hands. So you have to wipe or wash the feet and hands, uttering the Mullah Mantra. The Mullah Mantra here, whenever you see Mullah Mantra used by Sri Vaishnavas, it tends to mean the Astra Mantra Om Namo Narayanaya, the 8-syllable mantra, which is given in the Pancha Samskara or the Samashrayanam ceremony to the person who's becoming a Vaishnava. This is when a person formally becomes a Vaishnava, he does the Pancha Samskara ceremony. The Pancha Samskara means there are 5 purificatory acts that he goes through. Tapa Pundram Chito Nama Mantro Yagastya Panchamaha. So there are these 5 things. He is branded with the symbols of Vishnu on his shoulders, conch and discus. He Tapa Pundra, he wears the Urdhva Pundra or the clay markings, vertical clay markings on 12 parts of the upper body, represent with the names of Sriman Narayana and Goddess Mahalakshmi. Tapa Pundra Chito Nama, he gets a name which reminds us that he's a servant of Vishnu and Ramanuja, Keshava Ramanuja Dasa or Keshava Dasa or like this, and or Lakshmi Dasi, like this, Lakshmi Ramanuja Dasi. He gets the mantras, and normally at least the 3 main mantras are the Mullah Mantra, which here is a terminology that means Mullah means the root, mantra means manaha trayate iti mantraha. Manaha mantra means a spell or a prayer that helps to control the mind. So the Mullah Mantra, the main mantra, is the Om Namo Narayana mantra, which is made of 8 syllables, Om Namo Narayana. And then we have the Dvaya mantra, which is made of 2. Dva means 2, so two different phrases. Sriman Narayana Charano Sharam Papadye. Second phrase, Srimati Narayana Namaha. And the third mantra, which is the Charma Sloka of Lord Krishna. Charam means the final instruction of Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. And that is the verse 1866 of Bhagavad Gita. Sarvadharman Prityaja Mamekam Sharam Vraja Aham Tvat Sarvapapibhyo Mokshayishyami Masijaha. Okay, so this is the fourth part of the Pancha Samskara. And the fifth part is to surrender to the Lord with the help of the Acharya, the help of the Guru, to offer to re-offer one's soul back to the Lord because it's his property, and to trust in the Lord as the actual means to our liberation, the means to our eternal service to him. So, which was mentioned in the previous verse, he is the means. Okay, so we are wiping our hands and feet and uttering the Mullah Mantra. And while we're doing that, one collects mud. Okay, so there are some mantras which are not mentioned here, which can be discussed in other places. Mrittike harame papam janmaya yaskritam kritam, etc. Mrittike. The word mrittika means mud. It means clean mud. It doesn't mean dirty mud. It means pure dirt, pure earth, and that has to be collected. Okay, so we have to collect some pure earth to do this ritualistic bath. That pure earth from a clean place, not from a garbage dump or a place where dirty things are there, from a clean place. Right, so this should be divided into 3 portions. So we collect some dirt, some mud, and we pack it into, and we divide it up into three portions. One on which the vessel containing the Aradhana water will be kept later. So in the worship of the Supreme Lord and the worship of the deity every day, we will go to this place of taking bath, this holy tirtha. Tirtha means a water body. So, and we either it's a well or a sacred river or whatever. And we also collect water while we're there. After we take bath, we can collect water. First of all, we should take bath, right? But after taking bath, we will take a vessel, and we will collect holy water, and we'll take that water back to the house to perform the worship of the Lord. This is because in the house in those days there was no plumbing, indoor plumbing. So they would go out and they would collect water and bring it back. So this vessel is normally called a tirukaveri, and sometimes it's a pot sometimes it's just a pot, sometimes it's a pot with a spouted neck, a spout like a teapot, and it's for keeping a large amount of water for the ritualistic use in the puja room or in the temple, right, for worshiping the deity. Okay, so what he's saying here is that we need to have a lump of pure mud, pure dirt, pure earth, a lump of pure earth on which to keep the vessel with the water in it. Because why? Once again, the water which is kept in contact with bhumi, with the earth, is considered pure. So after bath, we'll have this piece of pure mud, and we'll take the vessel, fill it up with the water, and place it on top of this piece of mud, and take it back to the temple or to the puja room. Okay, so there are two other portions. So we've got 3 portions of mud. So here it says these should be divided into 3 portions. One on which the vessel containing the Aradhana water will be kept later. Now another portion of mud, which will be scattered in different little bits of it, small bits will be taken off it, and it will be scattered in different directions, uttering the Astra Mantra. Now the word Astra means weapon. So again, mantra is a prayer or a spell. And so the weapon mantra here is described as Sahasralokaya Swaha. Sahasralokaya Swaha. Sahasralokaya Swaha. Right? And does he actually mention this in the Sanskrit here? Okay. Sahasralokaya Swaha. And Now we will go to the so this second portion of mud. We'll use little pieces and we'll throw it in the different directions. Now, how many directions are there? Normally, we understand there are 4 cardinal directions, right? East, south, west, and north. The reason I said them in that direction, in that order instead of north, south, east, and west, is because we always start from the east, which is where the sun rises, which is the most auspicious direction because the sun is coming up and the sun is the abode of Surya Narayana. He's called Pratyaksha Devata, the god that you can see. And so when we face east, this is considered to be the most auspicious direction where the sun comes up, right? Facing Sriman Narayana, the Pratyaksha Devata, Surya Narayana within the sun. Okay, so then from there, we always do things in a clockwise manner. Clockwise is considered auspicious, anti-clockwise is considered inauspicious. So clockwise directions from the east is east, south, west, and north, right? North is the second best direction. West, then south is the direction of Yama, is considered to be the direction of death or the underworld. So these are just general statements. Of course, we have to face in Sandhya Vandanam, when we're performing Sandhya Vandanam, we have to face all of these directions at different times. So these are the 4 cardinal directions: east, south, west, and north. In between those, in between east and south, we have southeast. In between south and west, we have southwest. In between west and north, we have northwest. In between north and east, we have northeast. Okay, so now we have 8 directions. And we also have up and down, right? What's called the zenith and the nadir. Right, so these are 10 directions that are spoken about normally in the Vedic scriptures. So it may be that we take this second piece of earth and we break it off into 10 pieces and we say, Om Sahasrara Ukaya Swaha, Om Sahasrara Ukaya Swaha, Om Sahasrara Ukaya Swaha, and we're scattering it about like that to alleviate to scare away any inauspicious influences. Okay, so now we go to section 4. Section 4 says about the third part of the mud that we collected. The third part of the mud is to be used as body soap. So we use it to smear on the body. After getting the body wet, and the mud is also wet, we use it the mud is abrasive and will help us to clean the dirt, the other dirty things and the grease and the oil from the body, right? And so it can be used like that by smearing it all over. Considering the water body as Ganges water. So there are different holy waters. There's a verse which is very common in Hinduism and in Vaishnavism, where we call the goddesses, we call the energies of the sacred rivers, the 6 sacred rivers, Ganga Chai, Muni Chaiva, Godavari, Saraswati, Narmade, Sindhu, Kaveri, Jalismin, Sanidam, Kuru, that please all of you auspicious waters and holy waters, please come and be present in this water here. So I take bath or I use you for worship or whatever it is. So sometimes people think of the Ganges, they meditate upon the Ganges as being the water there. And there are also some other Vedic mantras to call the Ganges or to pray to the Ganges when we're taking bath. But these are not given here. The details is not given here, just the direction that we should consider the water body to be as pure as the Ganges when we're immersing ourselves after wiping our body with the one portion of the mud as body soap. So, considering the water body as Ganges water, immerse oneself fully, and while doing this, keep uttering the Mullah Mantra. Keep uttering the Mullah Mantra while we go down. And when we immerse ourselves, when we duck down into the water, many times what people do is they cover the different holes in the body with the hands. So you can take the first 2 fingers, the little finger and the ring finger, and hold the mouth closed. With the middle finger, you could hold the nostrils closed. The index fingers can hold the eyelids closed, and the thumbs can be placed inside the ears to hold the ears closed, like that. So in that way, when you duck down, you don't get water in any of these orifices, any of these holes. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. It's not mentioned here, but these are some details. I'll just give some details. The more details will be in other texts will be given. Okay, so we're going through just an outline now. Ramanuja just gives an outline. So while doing this, uttering the Mullah Mantra. Now, somebody might say, well, if you're holding your mouth closed, how are you saying Om Namo Narayanaya? How are you saying the Mullah Mantra? Well, you can also say it in your mind. You can also meditate upon it and say it mentally. So whether you say it out loud or whether you say it mentally while you're bathing, you should be thinking about the Mullah Mantra. Om Namo Narayanaya. Yes, the Astra Mantra. After bath, wiping the body to dry. So we have a towel or we have some cloth to dry ourselves after we take the bath, after we do this immersion bath. One should drape oneself with 2 pieces of white cloth. Okay, so normally the Vaishnava, he wears a lower cloth and an upper cloth. The lower cloth is called the dhoti or vesti, and it can also be called Pancha Samskara because it's folded in 5 places for grihastas or in 1 place for sannyasins and brahmacharis. Right. The other cloth is the upper cloth, which is called the Angavastram or the Uttariyam. Uttariyam means upper cloth. Angavastram means it covers the limbs, meaning the arms, like that. So that is it can be wrapped around the waist or it can be put over one shoulder, like that. So then one should do that, right? So he should drape himself with these 2 pieces of cloth, one being worn around the hip in the traditional way, right? Tied in 5 places. 5 places are when tying a dhoti in a Pancha Samskara style. We wrap the dhoti around and fold it, once on one side, once on the other side, right? Fold it down like this so that it stays in place. Then we take the dhoti in the front, we fold it and tuck it in. That's 3 times. We take it again in the front, fold it another way and tuck it inside so that there's no loose end showing. And then in the back, the other side is pulled up between the legs and tucked in the back also after being folded. So these are the 5 places. It's called Pancha Samskara. Kacha means folds, 5 folds or 5 places. So tying at 5 folds, and the other is the Uttariyam or the upper cover, which is normally around the waist, like that. This is and it's important to put it around the waist, especially because now the next thing we're going to do is put on the Urdhva Pundram, which is the Vaishnava Tila, the clay, and the white clay and the red line, or some people put yellow turmeric line, which represents Sriman Narayana and Mahalakshmi on 12 parts of the upper body. So the Angavastram, the Uttariyam, the upper cloth should not be in a place that will interfere with that. This is followed by 12 locations applicable with application of nama or white mud and Sri Churnam, which is the red or yellow turmeric type substance in the middle of these, known as Urdhva Pundras, over designated places of the body, including the head, neck portions, and the back. Okay, so these were sections 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's continue. Thereafter, one should do Achamana. Achamana means sipping or drinking consecrated water, fixing the mind on the Lord, right? And normally that's done after sipping 3 times, after saying different names of the Lord. In different places, in different sampradayas and different sections, they chant different names. There are Vedic mantras to chant. Also, if you do Vedic Achamana, there's different forms of Achamana. But the normal form of Achamana, chanted by the Sri Vaishnavas, at least in Tamil Nadu, is Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Sip, Om Anantaya Namaha, Sip, Om Govindaya Namaha, Sip, wash the hands, and then touching different parts of the upper body and face with different names of the Lord. The 12 names of the Lord from Keshava to Damodar, which are the names of the Upavyuhas. In the Pancharatric system, there are different forms of God: Paravyuha, Vibhava, Antaryamin, and Archa. So the Para form is called Paravasudeva. From Paravasudeva, there are expansions. The view of expansions are 4: Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. From each one of these vyuhas, right, these vyuha forms, there are 3 other forms that come. So from Vasudeva, vyuha Vasudeva comes Keshava, Narayana, Madhava. From vyuha Sankarshana comes Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana. From Pradyumna vyuha comes Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, and from Aniruddha vyuha comes Rishikesha, Padmanabha, and Damodar. So these are the 12 names. So Keshava to Damodar, these are the names that are used for the names of the Lord. And there are also names of Lakshmi. So we say Keshava Namaha Narayana. I'm sorry, we're doing Achmana here. For Achmana, we'll be touching different parts of the body, saying Om Keshava Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha. The Smartas tend to say these same names, but instead of saying them in the dative case and saying obeisances to Keshava, Keshavaya Namaha, they simply say Keshava, O Keshava, O Narayana, O Madhava in the vocative case. Okay? So a Smarta will say Achyutaya Namaha, Anantaya Namaha, Govindaya Namaha, Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudana, Trivikrama, Vamana, Sridhara, Rishikesha, Padmanabha, Damodara. Whereas a Sri Vaishnava will say Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Keshava Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhava Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnu Namaha, Om Madhusudana Namaha, Om Trivikrama Namaha, Om Vamana, Om Sridhara, Om Rishikesha, Om Padmanabha, Om Damodara. Right. And touch different parts. Now, this is usually done twice, right? In most of the procedures in the prayogas, whenever we start something, we do Achamana twice. If we have to do Achamana again during any procedure or something like that, we can do it once. Or there might be a rule that we have to do it twice after doing certain things. But in the beginning, we normally do it twice, like that. So it's called Dvirachamya. Okay, so now fixing our mind on the Lord. Now we then do prokshana, sprinkling water on one's head. So then we have to sprinkle some water on our head, and then maybe there are some mantras. Sometimes there are some mantras to say this. Some people they chant this mantra from Guru Purana: Apavitra Pavitrova Sarva Vishtam Gatopiva Yasmarit Pundarikaksham Savi Abhyantara Suchihi. Right, which means that by remembering the Supreme Lord, we become purified within and without, which is very nice. Right. This is followed by oblations. Oblations. Now, here oblations. How exactly is it said to do oblations? Proksha. There may be different oblations. This may refer to different types of. Here we're going to talk about. We'll talk about tarpana in a minute. Right. Doing oblations. Pranayamaha, which means fixing the mind by controlling the breathing process. And pranayamaha can be done in different ways, right? Pranayamaha is breath control, which can be done by using, of course, it's by breathing in, holding the breath, and breathing out and holding the breath outside also, right? And repeating that 2 or 3 times, or maybe once or three times. And this is done again with different mantras, right? So this is followed by oblations, pranayamaha, and uttering of Mullah Mantra 108 times. So after we finish the bath, then we should be doing that pranayamaha. And this pranayamaha can be done either with the Vedic mantra, the Dirgha Gayatri mantra. What is it? The normal Gayatri mantra we all know is Om Bhurbhavasuvaha Tatsavaravenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yona Prachodayate, right? But the Dirgha Gayatri means a long Gayatri, which includes Sapta Vyahritis, or 7 of the Vyahritis, which are the special syllables that represent the different planetary systems and different levels in the body, chakras in the body. So Sapta Vyahritis, and also the Dirgha Gayatri also represents the last part of the Dirgha Gayatri is the Gayatri Shiras, which means the head of Gayatri. So altogether, this is called a long Gayatri, right? Some people also do japa of this long Gayatri, as well as doing japa of the middle part, which is the regular Gayatri. That long Gayatri, again, is like this. Om Bhoho, Om Bhuvaha, Ogam Suvaha, Om Mahaha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Ogam Satyam, Om Tat Sabare Enyam Balgo Deva Siddhinihi Dio Yona Pachoria Ati Om Apo Jyotir Somritam Brahma Bod Pavasuvaro. Okay, this is the Dirgha Gayatri. So this is used 3 times, breathing in, holding, breathing out. It can be done mentally, and while we're performing these pranayama motions of breathing in, holding in, and breathing out. So then we have to utter the Mullah Mantra 108 times. So there are more complicated and more difficult understandings, more difficult rituals and procedures to do than just do pranayama and chant the Mullah Mantra Om Namo Narayana 108 times. But for here, he's given it in general. This is what we should be doing. We should chant the Mullah Mantra 108 times. Then, and we can use a mala, we can use a japa mala with 108 beads to count that, or we can have some other way of counting on our fingers. Right. So one should circumambulate the Lord's sannidhi. Okay, sannidhi. The word sannidhi, sanidhya means to be close. So the word sannidhi is also called garbha griha, or the griha means a house. The garbha means the garbha literally means the fetus. In this case, this means the deity house is called the garbha griha. The garbha griha in a temple or in the house, right, is the place where the deity resides. So we should circumambulate the Lord, so the place where the Lord is, either in the temple. This is after chanting the 108 Mullah Mantras, and we should circumambulate the Lord's temple or the house shrine. One should circumambulate the Lord's sannidhi, holy station, if the location permits. Right. If it's not possible to do that physically, then we can simply do it in our mind, or we don't have to do it. And offer oblations to the earth here. Right. So it's not exactly explained exactly how to offer oblations to the earth, but there may be some mantra that we chant to offer our prayers to the earth. Normally, when we get up in the morning, there's a prayer. There's a prayer to the goddess of the earth. Parasparsha Chimashwame. Please forgive me for putting my feet on you before I get out of bed. Please, I have to, Mother Earth, in order to do my worship of the Supreme Lord, in order to serve the Lord today, I have to put my feet on you. So Parasparsha Chimashwame. There's a whole sloka that goes along with that. So we'll learn it in some other anikam. So here he's just giving the general understanding. So offer oblations to the earth here, right up to Vaikuntha, including the rishis, gods, and pitris. Pitris means mains or ancestors, fixing the mind on them all the way. So we should now offer tarpana. These tarpanas are usually water through the palm of the hand, coming out in different parts of the hand, right? Depending on whether it's a rishi or a sage or a seer that we're offering to, a god or devata that we're offering to, or to one of the forefathers that we're offering to. And we fix our mind on them all the way. Then one enters the yaga bhumi. Now the word yaga and yagya mean the same thing. Yagya vai Vishnu, it's stated in the scriptures that Vishnu is the yaga. Vishnu is the sacrifice. So when it says the yaga bhumi, the place of sacrifice, what it actually means is the deity room. We should enter the deity room, either the deity, the room where we do puja in the house, or the deity room in the temple. If we're performing worship in the temple, this is usually for performing worship in the house. So now he's going to explain that. Right. So having returned to one's house after bath, one should wash his feet and hands. Right. So even actually part of Achamana, before we were talking about doing Achamana, sipping water, and we had to do this after we took the bath, before we put on the Vaishnava Tilaki Urdhva Pundra, or chanting the Mullah Mantra 108 times. But we also have to do it when we come back to the house after we wash our feet. And normally Achamana actually includes washing the hands and feet first, and then saying Achamana, and then sipping the water, remembering the Lord's name. So one should wash the feet and the hands, do Achamana in a designated clean and quiet place, well decorated, right? Chant with a pure mind praises of the Acharya Parampara, starting with one's Acharya and ending with the Lord. So this is called remembering. This is called Guru Parampara Anusandhanam. So one has to remember his own guru and his guru's guru, going back to the Supreme Lord. The Acharya Parampara comes from the Lord, starting with the Lord, who spoke to Lakshmi to Vishvaksena, Vishvaksena to Sadakopa, Namalwar, coming down through Yamunacharya, through Ramanuja, all the way to the present. So there are two ways of doing this. One way is to recite the Taniyans or the Pranam mantras, which are verses for each of these personalities in order. And the other way is to say the name of the personality in the dative case and add namaha, my obeisances to that personality like that. So we can say Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha. That would be a very quick way of remembering all of these personalities, right? Because ultimately Mahalakshmi and the Supreme Lord, they are the ultimate original gurus. So we can say Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, which is something that we say at the beginning of any of these videos. Or if we want to go into more depth, here it's describing that we should think about each and every person in the lineage that we come in. So we can say Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha, Asmat Sarva Gurubhyo Namaha, Srimati Ramanujaya Namaha, Srimati Panakushadasaya Namaha, Srimati Mundamuni Namaha, Srimati Ramanujaya Namaha, Srimati Shivakopa Namaha, Srimati Vishvaksena Namaha, Shri Namaha, Shri Guraya Namaha, like this. And we can go back like that, and we can mention each of the personalities in our particular lineage, like that, from our guru to the thing. That is called the Vakya Parampara. Vakya means a statement that, Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha, like Asmat Parama Gurubhyo Namaha. Sri Dharaya Namaha, Mahalakshmiyaya Namaha, like this. Two different personalities. Vishvaksenaya Namaha, Ramanujaya Namaha, like that. That's called Vakya Parampara. Sloka Parampara, or verse, if we do it in a verse form, then we would say the Taniyan, or the particular pranam mantra of our guru, and then we could say Sri Shailesha Dayapatram, Dibhakyadi Gunanavam, Yatindram Paravam Vande, Ramyaja Mataramunim. If we are Tengalai Sri Vaishnavas, if we are Vadagalai Sri Vaishnavas, we could say Ramanuja Dayapatram, Jnana Vairagya Srimad Venkatanacharyam, Vande Vedanta Deshikam. And then we could move on and we could say Yo Nitya Mattuta Parambuja Yugma Rukma, that is for Vedanta Deshika. Then we could move on in both cases, or Vadagalai, let's move on to praising Ramanuja. Yo Nitya Mattuta Parambuja Yugma Rukma, Yamoha Shastaridarani Tinayameni, Asmad Guru Bhagavatos Yadayek Sindho, Ramanuja Sutramano Sharam Padye, about Ramanuja. Mata Pita Yuvatayastani Adhutihi. And we could go on and on and on talking about the Alwars and talking about the different personalities in this until we come to the Taniyans of Mahalakshmi and the Supreme Lord Sriman Narayana. So this would be in verse form. This could be done in verse form. So normally the Acharya will teach this to the student at the Pancha Samskara, will teach the Taniyans, will teach the Pranam mantras, at least the main ones. And then the reason for doing this in the morning, every day, is to take permission from the Supreme Lord through ascending process and praying to the whole lineage, the whole group from Braj, to take permission for us to perform the worship of the Lord throughout the day. Whatever we do, we're going to do it for the Supreme Lord's service, and therefore we take permission to do that from the Lord, starting through our guru, through our teacher, and going back to the Lord, like that. And we should always remember that. Take permission from all the great personalities. Right. So, starting with one's Acharya and ending with the Lord, the Supreme Guru, who is both the goal, right, and the means to reach it, right? He is the Upeya, the goal, and the Upaya, the means for reaching it. All the time meditating on his divine form, appearance, and wealth of his twin vibhutis. Vibhuti means his opulences. He has two opulences. He has the Nitya Vibhuti and the Leela Vibhuti. The Leela Vibhuti is the place of Leela, that is this material world, which includes all of us here now. And his Nitya Vibhuti is Sri Vaikuntham, or Paramaparam, the supreme destination for the souls, for the liberated souls, who are always serving him, the Nityas there, Nitya Suris. And that is called Sri Vaikuntham, or Paramaparam. Yeah, so they are the two. So Leela Vibhuti here, and Nitya Vibhuti, Sri Vaikuntha, and his divine qualities, nature, Aishwarya, Sushilya, etc., all his different attributes. So we should be meditating upon this. And the breadth of implements and elements going on in his Leelas, and as described in Sharanagati Gadya, right? So we have to look at Sharanagati Gajya. The idea is that these are described in more detail in that text, right? Beginning with Akila Heya, Pratyanika, Jnanandaika Swarupa, etc. So this is a portion of Sharanagati Gajya, propounding the divine qualities of the Lord and his opulences, right? And uttering it, that portion, one surrenders unto him, the Supreme Lord, formally through the mediation of Shri Mahalakshmi, right? This Sharanagati is not to be mistaken for the one that one does for moksha, but to achieve Bhagavat Anubhava, right? So we want to get the Anugraha or the Anubhava, right? We want the Kripa or the Prasada or the mercy of the Supreme Lord, right? And so this Sharanagati here, or property or surrender that we're doing here, we're saying these words, we're meditating upon surrendering to the Lord, right? It's not that we're surrendering every day to the Lord. Surrender is only done one time, right? But we can remember that surrender that we did to the Lord and just remember it every day, and that's purifying. So this is section 8. Having surrendered to the Lord thus, and with his blessings totally involving one's mind in him, and declaring to oneself that he is the Supreme Master, dearest and most enjoyable, keep meditating on his exquisitely clear form or appearance. Having thus experienced his noble stance and love flowing from it, start the divine worship, which is completely of a Kainkarya nature. Kainkarya means a selfless service, right? Without any motive for any type of gain or result, except for the pleasure of the Lord, as we said before. We want the Lord to be pleased by that service of us. Now it says here, moving on quite quickly here, right? So we should meditate upon this. The Lord in his establishment comprises his essential nature. We didn't have any other English here, right? Oh, yes, okay. So the Kainkarya 10, okay? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Did we get translation for this? Okay. 11, okay. The Lord in his establishment comprising his essential nature, conduct, and state and conduct and goings on, enjoying our soul being subservient to him, which our body, senses, mind forming his body with own auspicious materials or implements that please him, and abundantly enjoyable and pleasing, perfect, and prepared with utmost devotion, these enjoyments entourage, means of enjoyment, all these being his, and he being the reservoir and personification of all these, he, for his own enjoyment, himself creates the things stated. So should one meditate on him. So one should meditate that the Lord is now going to use us as a tool. He is going to use us to serve himself for his own purpose, for his own pleasure, like that. And that is described in this section here, which is sometimes repeated by Vadagalai Sri Vaishnavas. It's called Satwikityaga. It means I'm giving up the agency of the act that I'm going to perform, or the act that I've just performed. Normally it's done before and after an act. So Bhagavan eva swaniyamya swarupasthiti praviti swasheshateka rasena anena atmana, sometimes kartra is put in there, swakyaischa dehendriyanta karanaihi swakya kalyanatama dravya mayan naupacharika samsparshika abhyavaharikadi samasta bhogan ati prabhutan ati priyatamam ati samagran atyantan bhakti kritan akila parijana parichad anvitaya swasmai swapritaye swayameva paditum up, up, upakramata ityanusandaya. Ityanusandaya means thus we should think like this. Upakramata. Now, normally that's chanted by Vadagalashri Vaishnavas before and after they perform things. It's called Satwikityaga, and normally it goes like this. Here it's a slightly different, the way Ramanuja has given it, but it normally goes Bhagavaneva Svaniyamya Swarupa Sthiti Praviti Shushesha Degarasena Anina Atmana Katra Swakyesto Pakarane Swaradana Kaprayojana Param Purusha Sarvasheshi Shripatihi Sushesha Bhutam Idam, and then whatever we say idam, and then we say whatever the act that we are now going to perform. Idam Prataha Sandhya Vandanakyam, if we're going to do morning Sandhya. Padasandhyavandanakyam, Kama Swasmai Swapriti Swayameva Karyati. And at the end, we say the same thing, Karitavan, but Karitavan at the end, okay? That I have done that, right? But it is God. I'm thinking that God is doing it through me for his own purpose, for his own satisfaction, using everything which is him, his opulences to perform it. Okay. So getting back to the text, so this is called Satwikityaga, like that. The next step is to cleanse oneself, one's body, by bringing together the Pancho Punishad mantras, which are going to be spoken about here, and harboring in one's body frame. This is called Bhuta Shuddhi. So Bhuta Shuddhi, Bhuta here means the different elements. So there are different elements in the material body. Right? In the Bhagavad Gita, it's described in the 7th chapter by Lord Krishna, Bhumi, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, Kam. These are the 5 gross material elements, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Right? Then we have mind, intelligence, and ego. Bhumi, Apo, Nalo, Vayu, Kamara, Buddhi, Revacha, Ahankara, Iti, Amme, Bina, Prakritirastara. So we have Manaha, Ahankara, and Buddhi. So we have the mind, the intelligence, and the ego. Yeah? Or the ego and the intelligence. So these are the 8 material elements which accompany the Chaitana, or the living entity, the Jivatma, or the soul, in this material frame, body frame. Okay, so these have to be purified. And so these are purified with the Pancha Punishad mantras. The Pancha Punishad mantras are mentioned here. So they're given. Om Shom Namaha Paraya Parameshtatmane Namaha. Om Yam Namaha Paraya Purushatmane Namaha. Om Ram Namaha Paraya Vishwatmane Namaha. Om Vam Namaha Paraya Nividatmane Namaha. Om Lam Namaha Paraya Sarvatmane Namaha. These are the Pancha Punishad mantras. And there are different nyasas that are performed. And this is called Bhuta Shuddhi. Okay. So we have to do this mental meditation on purifying the material body before we can worship the Lord. So we bring together the Pancha Punishad mantras and harboring in one's body frame and throwing out the foul air from inside the body. A pranayama is done with the right hand touching the navel while simultaneously uttering the Mullah Mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya, with a second pranayama establishing the Mullah Mantra in the region of one's heart, and with the resultant fire inside called the Chakra Agni. Chakra means a wheel, the wheel-like fire, right, which burns all the blemishes of ignorance and enticements, right, of karmas, desires, and enters oneself entering oneself into the big toe, the left. It says here southern. It means the left big toe of the Lord. The left big toe of the Lord. Right? Maybe the left big toe, or if we look at dakshina, it could mean right. If the word dakshina is there, we have to look and see. Okay, I'll check that out. It says Bhagavad Vama Padangusta. Vama Pad, that means the left toe, the left big toe of the Lord. So we should meditate upon the Lord's body, and then we meditate upon the different elements of the body being destroyed, and then taking the pristine soul and entering into the big left toe of the Lord, and then coming out again with a completely new spiritual body that he can worship the Lord in. Okay, so, well, that's interesting. Okay, so now With another pranayama and his grace, imagine having obtained the state of becoming the Lord's servant, thereon receiving his subservience, offering oneself through utterance of the Mullah Mantra, again Om Namo Narayana, to be below the Lord's left big toe of his holy foot. One should immerse oneself in the Amrita, or the nectar of immortality, the heavenly liquid issuing from the part between the fleshy toe and the nail covering it. Having immersed oneself in the holy Amrita, one should feel, having obtained a body through his grace, deserving to do the worship of the Lord, the service of the Lord, the Kainkarya, in private, all by oneself to the Lord, and unite the Pancho Punishad mantras in the body as per the flow of creation. So first of all, we are using those Pancho Punishad mantras which were mentioned in a reverse order as destroying the material elements, and now we're using those Pancho Punishad mantras again in a creation order. This is called Samhara, means destruction, and Shristi means creation. So there's a Samhara order for the Pancha Punishad mantras, and our creation order, Shristi order for the Pancha Punishad mantras. So uttering Shom, and some people instead of Shom, they say Sham, right? Sham Namaha Paraya instead of Shom Namaha Paraya. So there's some differences, some different texts that say Sham and Shom. Whichever one you want to use, you can use. Not in general, people say Shom, but there are many people who say Sham also. So Om, Shom or Sham, Namaha Paraya Parameshtarpane, Namaha, touch one's head. Uttering Om Yam Namaha Paraya, Purusharpane, touch the tip of one's nose. Right. Uttering Om Ram Namaha Paraya, Vishwarpane Namaha, touch one's heart spot, or the place of the heart. Uttering Om Vam Namaha Paraya, Niritatpane, right? One should touch the secret part, just in front of where the genitals are, like that. So we don't actually touch the genitals, but just touch in front, meditating upon touching the genitals, like that, with that mantra. Uttering Lam Namaha Paraya, Sarva, any of the places to be touched below the waist, we don't actually touch. Even we can even touch just by bhava, just by putting it close to that place, even above the waist. But below the waist, definitely we don't touch. We just put it close to that. Put the four fingers of the right hand close to that place. So uttering Lam Namaha Paraya Sarvatmane Namaha, touch both legs. Thus addressing the Lord and gods in various parts, different aspects of the Lord, right? Meditate on the energetic and enveloped body. With another pranayama, immerse oneself with the Amrita, or the elixir of immortality, cascading from the Lord's big left toe, big toe from his left foot, and appearing fulfilled, and having worn Urdhva Pundras on the new body, the new spiritual body in meditation, set out to begin to do the worship of the god, of the deity in the proper order. So this is all done before we can actually worship the deity. Okay, so he's given a summary study of that like that. But we can go into detail of exactly how to do it. Okay, so here's the next part, the first part of worshiping the deity. One should do the Aradhana, or the worship of God, with the innate belief that the Lord himself is getting it all performed. So the Lord is doing it through us. One should collect the necessary materials for external worship by filling water in the water vessel to one's left. So we have water vessel to one's left, adding aromatic additives. So there are some things that we put into the water to make it smell very nice, to make the aroma nice. These are different spices and herbs like that. These are usually called astagandhas. So there are 8 things which can be ground up, and you can make a preparation of this, and you can put it in the water every day. You can keep this. So, and do abhimantrana 7 times. That is purifying through the chanting of mantras. So there's abhimantrana of each one of this vessel which we usually call the tirukaveri, which is a vessel full of water, which is kept to the left, which we should have brought back from the bath, which we see. And uttering mantras, do purification and drying by showing hands to the vessel, produce holy and amrita like water, and do Raksha or protective action with Astra Mantra, like that one utters while leaving an arrow from the bow, and show Surabhi symbol or mudra, fingers of both hands forming the udder of a cow. Right? Okay. So what he's talking about here is we have to do what's called Soshana Dahana Plavana, right? This is the system of doing it. So Soshana Dahana Plavana on the water, right? So what it means is that we have three bija mantras. We have a bija mantra. So we write the bija mantra on one of the palms of the hand. Different padatis will say different hands, right? But with the other hand, with the finger of the other hand, we write on the palm of the hand a bija mantra. And then we show it over the top of this vessel like that while saying the mantra. And we meditate on certain things. So there are three bija mantras that are used. Ram, Yum, and Vam. Ram is for fire, for burning up the impurities in the thing. Then, start off with Yum. Yum is for drying the thing. So we completely dry a particular thing. Then we go Yum Vayave Namaha, Soshayami. Then we do Ram Agne Namaha, Dahayami. So with Ram, we burn it up, right? So after drying it with Vayu, with air, we burn it up with fire. And after drying and burning, then we nectarize it with Vam Amritaya Namaha, so Plavayami. We nectarize it, right? So we do Yam Vayave Namaha, Soshayami, Ram Agne Namaha, Dahayami, Vam Amritaya Namaha, Plavayami. And then we can do Sudarshana Chakra Mudra, or we can, and then we have to do Amrita Mudra. We have to do the Surabhi Mudra, which is there's two different ways. This is one way of doing the Surabhi Mudra, which looks like the udder of a cow over this particular pot. Anytime we want to purify something, we do Soshana Dahana Plavana and Surabhi Mudra, like that. Sometimes we can also do Raksha to protect it, like that with the Chakra Mudra. Right, okay. So then, keeping other materials in the southern direction. Now, we've gone out and we've collected all these materials for doing the external worship of God. That is the second part of the 5-part of the Vaishnava's day. So there are 5 parts of the Vaishnava's day. They are called in Pancharatra Panchakala Kriya, but Panchakala, the 5 parts are Abhigamana, which is getting up, taking bath, etc. Upadana is collecting those items. Ija, which is the actual worship, Aradhana or puja of the Lord. Swadhyaya means the study or self-study or teaching others or studying the scriptures. And yoga means meditation and finally taking rest, thinking of one's head on the feet of the Lord. So these are the 5. We have gone through the Abhigamana. We've gone through the Upadana. Now we're coming to the Ija section where we take the items that we collected in the Upadana and we use them to worship the Lord. So, do Raksha and the Astra Mantra. Okay, so show the Surabhi Mudra. Right, keeping other materials in the southern direction. Southern direction can also be to the right. If we're facing east, right, the southern direction can be at our right. Right, and arranging small cups. These are called vatils in Tamil, right? Patras, we can call them patras in Sanskrit, right? Patras. So these are for Argyapadya Achmaniya Shnaniya in the southeast, in the southeast, northeast, southwest, and northwest. So starting from the east, going around towards the south a little bit, we have the southeast. Then we have on the other side of south, he's putting southeast, northeast, southwest, and northwest. I'm not sure if he's getting the exact. Different padatis will say to place them in different directions, and we should perhaps look at this a little bit more closely and see what's being described. Because normally the patras are on the right hand side, and if we face the south, if we're facing east, but if we face south, then it would be in the, this would be east. So it would be northeast, southeast, northeast, southeast, northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest would be Argya, Padya, Achmaniya, and Shnaniya. In these different directions, respectively, and in the center of them all, Sarvarta Toyam. Sarvarta Toyam, which means, Toya means water, Sarvarta means for any purpose, right? Also known as Shuddhodika. So sometimes we have, in the middle, we have some water in a pot called Sarvarta Toyam, and sometimes it's called Shuddhodikam. Fill all the cups with consecrated water from the other big cup called the other big pot called the Tyukavari. Now here it's described what should go into the these different patras or vatils, like that. So add tender green grass, Vishnuparna, Shamaka, Padmaka, etc. to the Padya cup. Cardamom powder, cloves, takola, lavancha is cloves, takola is probably cola nuts, and pushpaka is a type of flowers to the Achmaniya cup. 2 pieces of solid turmeric, mura, shaileya, takola, jatamsi, I think is nutmeg, malayaja, sandal, champak flower petals to the other cup to generate sarvata toya is designated cup, right? So this is subject to availability, right? So whatever we have. Otherwise, we can just simply offer tulsi, put tulsi in and to the water, and that makes everything perfect. And we can use some of this astagandha, which is already put in the water. So after touching the Argya cup and uttering the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Argyam Parikalpayami, generate Argyam. And similarly, utter similar mantras to generate Padya, Achmaniya, Shnaniya, and Shuddhodika, respectively. So he's saying here that we need to cover the vessel after we filled it up and added these things, right? Cover it and say Om Namo Bhagavate Argyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Bhagavate Padyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Bhagavate Achmaniyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Bhagavate Shnaniyam Parikalpayami, Om Namo Bhagavate Sarvata Toyam Parikalpayami. So Argyam, Padyam, Achmaniyam, Shnaniyam, Sarvata Toyam. The five vatils or 5 patras. 4, otherwise known as Pancha patras, 5 patras. The next step is to add tiny quantities of holy water for the 4 cups, that is Padya, Achmaniya, Shuddhodika, Shnaniya, to the Argya cup. Tiny quantities of the holy water from the 4 cups, Padya, Achmaniya, Shuddhodika, and Shnaniya, to the Argya cup. A small quantity from the Argya cup should be scattered to the different parts of the Yaga Bhumi. So we should sprinkle it on the puja room and on the head of oneself who is conducting the Aradhana, and establish an asana to stand or to sit on.
Om Namo Narayana